Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome aboard my podcast. I'm Jason with Jay's Paradise Travels. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with the Louisville Cardinals. This is something that I just recently done, and I say recent, within the past week. And similar to how I've done a couple other podcasts in the past with a game that I went to, immediately came home and did the podcast. It's similar to that. Um, Not as immediate. I got home. I went over this past weekend, and so I wanted to still talk about while it's fresh in my mind, but it's not like exact. Anyways, before I get into all of that and talk about it, just a little housekeeping. If you'd like to go on vacation, specifically a cruise, which is my specialty, or if you'd like to go to a game, maybe you'd like to go see the Louisville Cardinals, you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you with that. There's a couple ways that you can reach out to me. One is through social media. You can send me a message. I have an Instagram and Facebook handle, and they're both the same. Jay's Paradise Travels. That's Jays. There is no apostrophe in that. Jay's Paradise Travels. You can reach out to me that way. Or if you want to email me, feel free to email me. My email address is j.paradise.travels@gmail.com. Again, that's jay.paradise.travels@gmail.com. All right, let me go ahead and get into my experience with the Louisville Cardinals. So, my experience with Louisville is going to go back a ways in a way of just like how I got there. I had some friends in Louisville, and years ago, when I was a young man, 19, 20 years old, I lived in New York City, and I had a roommate who was from Kentucky, not Louisville, but he was from Kentucky, and he had some friends that came in from Louisville, and I got to meet them. It was a family of five. Was able to keep in touch with them, and many years later, uh, got to see him again when I was a flight attendant and I had layovers in Louisville. That was nice. Never got to go to a game, but I got to at least see some of the family, which was really nice. Well, fast forward to this year, which is 2025. I was looking at the schedule and I saw that Louisville and Kentucky were both playing on the same weekend. Louisville was playing on Friday and Kentucky was playing on Saturday, and they're pretty close in proximity. So I figured that'd be a good time to go see both of them. Now, granted, you can, because they're pretty close, you probably could get one if there's one at noon and another one has an evening game. Definitely do that. But I wasn't quite sure on in the future the games that they did have on the same day, if that was going to be the case. And this one was for sure. One is on one day, one is on the other, so I could go see it. That way I could make sure I can get them both in. Therefore, I picked this weekend to do it, and I reached out to my friends to see about maybe getting together with them, staying with them, getting some to eat, whatever. But they'd either moved out of the area, got married, and are in a different state now, or was moving. Whatever the case was, they weren't there. I think they also went to a wedding that weekend, a family member. So I didn't get a chance to see them nor stay with them. That's okay. Ended up booking an Airbnb, which ended up being a Motel 6. That was interesting. I guess motels could put their services on Airbnb and get the business that way, I suppose. Um, and I asked my dad if he wanted to go. Initially, he didn't want to go, but then when I asked him again and told him what my plan was, he decided, okay, that's fine. Uh, Friday, because and it was an evening game that day on Friday. That and from Detroit to Louisville is not a super far drive. I want to say 6 hours roughly, give or take. It wasn't like we had to get up at the crack of dawn and drive out there. In fact, we didn't even leave until probably noon. So I got up that day, did some stuff in the morning, ate lunch before we left. That kind of helped me for a while. That was nice. And then we drove on down there. My dad drove the first 2 hours, and then I ended up taking over and pretty much driving the rest of the trip down there. Um, and we didn't really stop to get something to eat. I was trying to get there in time. I thought I'd given myself enough time, but I did find myself rushing to get to the game on time. It didn't help that on the way down there, we hit probably at least three, maybe four traffic jams at some point. One was like near Cincinnati, another was near Dayton, um, Louisville area, trying to get to the game. Um, Whether it was construction or just high peak time driving, whatever the case was, there was a few that we hit, and that was frustrating. They kind of put us behind a little bit. Where our Airbnb was actually in Indiana, Kentucky, whatever that river is that's right next to them. That body of water. I don't even know what it is. The Ohio River. I have no idea. Whatever river it is or body of water. Well, right on the other side of it is Indiana, and they have a couple bridges. I think one is like a toll bridge and one is like a free bridge. Anyways, we went on the other side, and just on the other side is Indiana, and that's where our Airbnb was, maybe a mile or two down, not far. We got there. My dad actually wanted to get something to eat on the way, but I was really trying to get to this game on time. So I'm bypassing every exit I'm seeing that has food. Poor guy was hungry. And I get it. I know what it's like to be hungry, but I'm on a mission to get to a game on time. I want to be there on time, that's for sure. I'd like to be there for kickoff. I was hustling and hightailing it, not stopping for anything. I felt bad for him. We ended up stopping at the Airbnb. We did put our stuff away, check into our room, and the guy had mentioned about a Chinese buffet that did sound pretty good. But I was like, we're getting kind of tight as it is. I'd like to just go to the game. Okay, which I'm glad we did. We uh, we did have to deal with some traffic, but we ended up taking the toll bridge that was less congested, and we ended up getting there a little quicker than if we would have taken the free bridge that had a lot more people on it, a lot more traffic on it. When we got in the vicinity, I want to say probably within a mile of the stadium, uh, there was there was a parking area, and I say area like there was a building and they had some parking spots, maybe a dozen to 20, give or take. And it was only like $20. Like, let's just park here. We'll walk the rest of the way. I want to say it was probably like three-quarters of a mile away from the stadium. And I can use some walking. I've been driving all afternoon. I can definitely use some walking. We parked there. Guy was nice, real pleasant fella that was in charge of the parking. Paid him, started walking to the game. And I could see a few people. I had never been there, so I had an idea where the stadium was. He kind of pointed in the direction. I saw it on the map. I couldn't quite see it yet, but I saw some people walking out that way. I saw the traffic going that way, and the traffic was getting backed up. I'm kind of glad we parked where we did and walked it. Um, we continued on. It was just like one street that went through. Went over a railroad track, and there was a soccer field and the Louisville soccer field and maybe a baseball diamond. We pressed all kinds of things, but eventually did come into view, a small view of the stadium. I was like, all right, there it is. We're definitely in the right direction. I can see the stadium, and I always get excited when I approach a stadium, and I know I'm going to the game, and I'm going to get to check another one off my list. That always excites me. Continue going on, and I was trying to get a decent shot of it, but there was so much stuff in the way. I got the best pictures I could. It wasn't until we really got up close and was able to enter the area that I got a better shot of the stadium. And at this point, it's a night game, but it hasn't turned dark yet, so there's still daylight turning into dusk time. Kind of pretty actually, and we were able to get in on time. As I mentioned, I took some pictures of the stadium itself, tried to take a picture of the stadium sign, their name, their logo, that type of thing. Was able to get some of the photos of that, and then we headed. And when we were heading in, we came with a big group of people. And I say group of people, not us. It was just me and my dad, but a big crowd going in the same area. And then I went over, and I want to say that was kind of like corner of the end zone type of area. But then I walked towards the middle because I was trying to take pictures of the signs. And then I started walking straight, and there was an entrance, and nobody's there. I look over, and there's a ton of people on the one entrance, and there's nobody at this entrance. So before I try to go up, I'm like, is this a special VIP entrance area? No. Oh, okay. We got right in. That was nice. So if you go, uh, the side there was kind of a nice entrance to go to, at least at the time when we went. Got in there. It's like, all right, we're in. Cool. Now where are we going? All right. We start walking in, and sure enough, we're not far away from our section, which is really nice. A lot of times it's like, oh, we're on the other end. I was able to get in there, find our seats, and it was nice that we were like in the front row of our section. down a little bit. And we were looking at seats. I'm always looking at like whatever's the cheapest way to get in the building, which is usually up top. But it was such an inexpensive game that we were willing to pay a little bit more, which was still a relatively inexpensive ticket, and be able to sit closer. And we were like in the front row kind of thing. And we got there um, before kickoff. I was pretty excited about that. We sit down. In fact, I think we even got there in time for them to do like one of those like, all right, there's a plane that goes by and then some people jump. I want to say they're in the military of some kind, Navy, not the Navy. I think they do that. Air Force, maybe, whatever branch it is. They jump out of the airplane and parachute themselves down and make it onto the field, which that takes guts to do. And they seem to be fine with it. Like I'd be kind of scared to do that myself. I wouldn't do it. I'll just put it that way. I ain't jumping out of a plane. Um, but and then some of them were like in pairs and they were coming down and then they would split apart right before they got to the field. I'm just glad they're okay. When they come down, I'm glad that they survived that. In fact, well, I'll get into that in just a second. Anyways, we came, we sat down in our seats, we found our seats, and that was going on. And then eventually the team was coming out. So we were only a couple minutes away from kickoff, or at least from the coin flip and then kickoff. I'm like, all right, cool, we made it on time. And then my dad's like, all right, let's get something to eat. Like, all right, game's about to start. But I had kept driving by every exit with food and wasn't stopping and felt bad. Didn't want them to wait any longer. I was like, all right, let's go get something to eat. And so we went and just right outside there was a concession stand that had your typical stuff. But then there was another place right next to it, in addition to the typical stuff like popcorn, soft pretzel, nachos, hot dog, that type of thing. But then they also had burgers, and we ended up getting chicken tenders and fries, which was pretty good. They ran out of ketchup in one of the condiment stands. Ended up walking get ketchup from another one, but it was pretty good. Anyways, by the time we got our food, kickoff had already. So I missed kickoff. That's all right though. Um, I felt bad for my dad not having to eat because I know what it's like to not eat. Now we head to the seat um, to catch the game, and then when the game was done, um, it was nighttime at that point. So when we started, it was daytime, kind of into that dusk time. But by the time the game was over, it was nighttime. It was very pleasant, very nice night out. I think I may have brought a jacket just in case, because right now in the fall time, you never know when nighttime or early morning can be kind of chilly. But just in case it did drop, it was fine. It was actually a beautiful night. Um, we left and went our way right back the same way we came. By the time we got out of there, we had a little bit of traffic to get to the highway, and that was about it. Had we gotten any closer, that's why I said I was kind of glad we parked what we did. Three quarters of a mile, which isn't too bad. I mean, I could definitely do that, no problem. And that a lot of the bumper to bumper stuff was right outside the stadium itself. By the time I got to the car, like I said, we did hit like a little bit of traffic getting to the highway. Other than that, it was pretty good. And we went back to the hotel. And when we went back to the hotel or motel, I should say, we had the chicken tenders and fries. I thought, that would be it. We just go to bed. My dad was thinking about getting something to eat again. He was getting hungry again. I'm like, oh, okay. But it was just kind of late, 11, 12 o'clock, whatever at night it was. It was a night game. So by the time we got back, it was around midnight ish. Um, we looked around, and there were some things that were open, which was nice. We ended up settling on a steak and shake, and I got a garlic burger, which was pretty tasty, and some chocolate milk. It kind of sounds kind of jealous. I do like chocolate milk, and they had ended up giving me two bottles. I drank one and took the other one back to the hotel for breakfast in the morning, um, because we had a little bit of a fridge. Yeah, and then the next day we went to the Kentucky game, which that would be another podcast. So that was the experience. Let me talk about the game itself. Now, for the game itself, I will pull up a little bit of notes here. When I say notes, I'm actually just looking at the box score here. I didn't write down, as I think I've mentioned before in other podcasts, I'll write down a lot of stuff that I'm looking. You'll probably even see me when it's this fresh in my mind or this close to when I went to the game. I'm trying to just do it on recent memory. But it was the team that they were playing with, the James Madison Dukes. Have you ever heard of them? I only recently have. I'm guessing. I was like, I don't even know where they are. My guess would be maybe Virginia. Sure enough, it was actually Virginia. So I was kind of proud of myself. I at least got that. I at least got that right. Yeah, they came out of Virginia. I want to say they've probably been in FBS. I'm guessing just recently. I want to say they're in the Sun Belt Conference. I'd have to look up their history. Even Louisville, they're in the ACC, but years ago they were in the Big East when that was a conference. And Louisville has had some good seasons, and they have some not good seasons. They've kind of up and down. Anyways, so that's who they were playing. I'll talk about it in a little while, but they were playing James Madison, who actually recently, the coach for Indiana, the Hoosiers. This is, I think, his second year with the team. Last year was his first, and he did pretty well with them, considering Indiana's normally not like a powerhouse in football. He did pretty well with them, and he came from James Madison, and he brought a lot of his players with him, and he did a pretty good job at James Madison. They had a pretty good winning program. When I saw that Louisville was playing James Madison, even though it wasn't like a Power Four team, I was thinking, all right, this could maybe be a good game. They they could be like scrappy and give them a fight. Um, so this might actually be a decent game. And I was actually right on that. James Madison did not come just to uh, roll over and die. They came and they fought hard. And there was a chance, I think, a couple things go their way, they could have maybe won the game too. Spoiler alert, they didn't. But they did start out with the first touchdown, and that was about 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, given meaning that they were going back and forth a little bit before anyone even scored. And the first one to score was not Louisville, it was James Madison. They were at the 3 yard line, did kind of rolled out to the left and then threw to the right, or back to the right and the guy was open, that type of thing, um, to take the lead, and they went up 7-0. Louisville had their chances. They definitely had their chances to score a touchdown. And I want to say maybe they even one time, but then it got called back. That I can't remember. But so after the first quarter, it was 7-0 James Madison. Going into the second quarter, Louisville started um, getting their chances and getting driving down the field a bit, but then they couldn't punch it in. They settled for a field goal, 22-yarder for the first one, so that means they were like right there, but just couldn't quite get it in. And then with 9 seconds left to go in the half, meaning most of the quarter all they had was three. Most of the half was just three. They did kick another field goal to make it 7-6 at halftime. James Madison was leading, and James Madison fans, we weren't too far from their fan base. We were behind their bench, and just to our right, a little bit down, they had their fans, um, and kind of peppered throughout the stadium too. They came, cheered them on, and that's I think they had a lot of confidence going into halftime, thinking that they could win this game. Third quarter comes around, James Madison gets the ball, and they drive down the field right away. 9 plays, 75 yards, score a touchdown, end up taking a 14-6 lead. And it's like, okay, they like I said, they're giving them a fight. They are scrappy. They're giving them a fight. And again, had maybe some things kept going in that direction, they could have maybe won it. But Louisville's talent eventually did win out. So immediately after that, Louisville finds themselves down by 8 points. And it's like, all right, they got to respond. You think they do. I mean, there's plenty of time, but I mean, James Madison has got some confidence. They've got some momentum to them. Louisville might need to respond here pretty quickly, and they did. Their next drive ended up only being 4 plays, but and 75 yards, 4 plays. They did a 64-yard pass. It was just kind of, I think it was like a slant. Miller Moss threw to who was a transfer from USC last year. Threw to Chris Bell and just outran everyone from there for a good 64 yards. Scored a touchdown. They go for 2 points to look to tie it. They're able to get it. Game's tied up 14 all going into the fourth quarter. Anyways, fourth quarter comes and James Madison had their opportunities. And I remember one, I don't remember exactly when. I want to say, was it in the fourth quarter or was it in the third? It was in the third quarter. I believe it was to kind of help set themselves up for that touchdown. Or maybe not, but I think it was. It was like a third and long, maybe it was even fourth down. And James Madison, it was a pass, they were scrambling, threw the ball, and the guy made an incredible one-handed catch to get the first down and to keep the drive going. And I had to give him a round of applause on that one. That was an incredible catch. Who it was and where it was exactly in the game, I don't know. I wish I would have recorded it because that was an incredible catch. I have to give him a shout out on that. And that was when they were going from my left to my right. So that was the third quarter. Fourth quarter comes around. Now they're going from right to left. Excuse me. And they end up Louisville. They were deep. I mean, they were like backed up in their own by their own end zone there. And Louisville either blitzed them, came in strong. Guy ends up fumbling the ball in the end zone, and Louisville picks it up. And it was either going to be one or two things: either James Madison recovers it and they're tackled in the end zone for a safety and it's 2 points, or Louisville recovers it and they're able to score a touchdown. Either way, Louisville was getting points and getting the lead. First time having the lead all game long. Um, yeah, they go up 20-14. They tried it for a 2 point conversion, but they missed it. I take that back. No. They didn't try for a 2 point conversion. My apologies. I mean, yes, they did, but it was like a fumbled snap. That's what it was. It was a fumbled snap, and the holder just picked it up and tried to run with it. Didn't get it. That's what it was. So it was 20-14. So you think even at that point, James Madison still could have a chance here, but they just couldn't get their offense quite going. Again, Louisville's um, talent just kind of won out at the end. They were able to make enough plays, do enough on defense to hold them, and they even had a defensive touchdown to take the lead. Um, Louisville did get the ball back, and James Madison was looking to try to stop them, just down by 6 because they couldn't score. And Isaac Brown, it was on second down, ran it 78 yards, just a run to the left, and next thing you know, he's outrunning everybody all the way down to the end zone. And I'm thinking, all right, there's the nail in the coffin. 28-14 now is their lead. They're up by 14 points with only like 5 minutes to go. I got to be thinking, or however many minutes. So yeah, something like that. And sure enough, it was. Now James Madison, to their credit, was trying that last, I want to say, 2 minutes when they had the ball and gave the ball back. They kept using their timeouts to get the ball back, and I'm thinking, hey, you're down by 14 points with a couple minutes to go. You're not winning this thing. But they kept doing it. That last 2 minutes took like a half hour because of all the timeouts and everything. And they did drive. They couldn't put it in ultimately. So Louisville, as I mentioned, they did win, and the final score was 28-14. The Cardinals beat the James Madison Dukes. And as I thought, maybe when I looked at the schedule and I saw James Madison, that they could be a scrappy team and fight them hard. They sure did. 14-point win for Louisville does look pretty good, but it wasn't until the very end that they even took the lead, let alone go up by 2 scores. So it was nice. It was a fun game to be a part of, and good for Louisville. I was a Louisville fan for a day. I wore this shirt. Now, if you'll notice, this is a Arizona Cardinals shirt. This is not the Louisville Cardinals. I thought I had a Louisville Cardinals shirt, and Friday as I'm packing, or Thursday night as I'm packing, I can't remember what I was packing, one of the two. I'm looking through all my shirts that I've accumulated, and I'm looking. I found my Kentucky shirt. I'm looking, and I was like, "Where is it? I could have swore I bought one." either I did and I lost it somehow, or I thought I did and I didn't, or maybe I thought it was I saw this is Cardinals and I thought, okay, well maybe that's the Cardinals that I had in my mind. I don't know. Whatever the case is, I didn't have a Louisville Cardinals shirt. Ended up wearing this instead. It is a Cardinal. I thought of one of two things. I could wear just a plain red shirt. I mean, their colors are red and white. I could do that, or I could wear this shirt, which is a Cardinal shirt. I figured I'd wear this because I'm only going to wear this maybe a couple times whenever I do eventually see Arizona. So I'm getting at least a little bit more use out of it, and get my money's worth with this shirt. Now I'll wear it for a game as well as a podcast, and whenever I see the Arizona Cardinals, I'll wear it then. Yeah, so that was the game there. Now the stadium. Let me talk a little bit about the stadium. The stadium is in Louisville, and it's called L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium. That is a mouthful. It used to be called Papa John's Stadium, based on the pizza chain. Some time ago, that got changed, and I don't remember. I'm sorry if you keep if I, as I keep adjusting myself, I keep hitting my desk, and if that's moving the camera, I apologize. Um, yeah, if they lost it or I there was something that happened with Papa John's, the pizza place some years ago with whoever the guy on the commercials was. I think he had gotten into some trouble. What exactly he did and what the details are, I don't know. I don't recall. And if that had anything to do with it, like maybe Louisville was just like, no, we don't want that name on our stadium anymore. I don't know, but they used to be called Papa John's Stadium. Um, so I'm not sure when it exactly changed over to L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium. That is such a mouthful, and a credit union I don't know about, don't care about. No offense to the fine people that work there, but it's just one of those. I can't stand when some sort of credit union or insurance company or mortgage or something that only a handful of people use or to get their names on these. But they make a lot of money in their business, and so they can afford the naming rights to these places. Whatever. Anyways, that's the name of it. It's according to Google, it holds 60,800 people, and according to ESPN, the attendance and they never announced the attendance there. The attendance was 48,717, and I guess I could kind of see that when I looked around. I did see some empty seats, more so in the beginning of the game, but as time went on, it got fuller. But not exactly oversold. I could see some empty seats. So I think that's probably pretty accurate with that. And being that it wasn't a Power Four school that they were playing, I think that's still a pretty good draw for Louisville. They did have so Lamar Jackson. They had his name up. I want to say in the rafters, but like right behind us, which I guess whatever second deck in between, right underneath it, they had uh, whatever names and LED lights that had different stuff on it, which that would also flash some names. But one of them that was permanent there was Lamar Jackson. On the other side was the press box. We didn't have the press box on our side of the stadium. It was on the other side. So Lamar Jackson was there. He's the current star quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. He played at Louisville. And there were some other names that I did recognize at the time. I think Johnny Unitas was one of them. It's like, oh, okay, Johnny Unitas played at Louisville. I guess I didn't really realize that. That's really going back a ways. um, yeah, and then they had a scoreboard on one end, and on it just said the Ville, and on the other end, and that was like kind of one story. But on the other end, they had to our right two stories and had two different uh, screens there, which I thought was kind of cool to look at. And it kind of came to a point. That was a little unique too. So you got that point, which the only one that I can think of comes to a point kind of on one end is like where the Seattle Seahawks play. So that came to that point, and then they had the two screens on that one end. So that was kind of cool to see. Nice little unique feature with that. And I do remember when it comes to the stadium itself, seeing the stadium before years ago when I was a flight attendant and had a layover in Louisville. I can't remember if we were going from the airport to the hotel or we were going from the hotel to the airport. We were on the highway. We were driving to one of them, and I looked over, and there I saw in the distance, I saw the stadium. So in my spreadsheet, I mark it like I've seen it, just no game yet. Now I can cross it off and be like, I've seen the game there, not only from a distance and seen it with my physical eyes, but I've actually attended a game there. Because my hobby is not just seeing it with my physical eyes. My hobby is to go to a game and see the home team play there, which is I was able to do. Um, Not exactly a new stadium. Most college stadiums, for the most part, they're going to be a little older, especially if the team's been around a while. Louisville has. It was kind of like retro night that night, and you kind of saw like that on the field. It wasn't just the cardinal head with the teeth, the only cardinal I've ever seen with teeth, but it was actually part of a body of like a football player doing a pose kind of thing. Retro night in that way. And what else? And the seats I thought were kind of nice. They were all like in a way bucket seats. They weren't benches. They all had a seat, like a bucket seat, and not only yeah we were a little closer, but as I looked around, even in the top deck, I it looked like they had them up there too. That's kind of unique for a stadium. Most unless it's like an NFL stadium, but for colleges, most of them go with benches, and you might be fortunate if they have it back. That's kind of about it, but it's rare to see like an actual bucket seat unless you're at like a VIP area or something to that effect, some special area. This one, from what I could tell, was kind of all around, so that was kind of nice. So not a bad stadium, not a bad stadium to visit. Glad I did. Um, yeah, so let's see here. Just trying to think of some miscellaneous things with Louisville. Lamar Jackson got to see his name up there. He played with them. I think did he win the Heisman, or either he won the Heisman or he was a runner up. I want to say did Teddy Bridgewater go there too? They've had some decent players come through, and I remember they've had some decent season too to them. And then there's been times that they haven't done as well. This year, as of this recording, they won this past week, and the week before that they played and beat Eastern Kentucky. They're 2-0. We'll see how the season goes. Um, James Madison was 1-0. They won their first game. They're 1-1 now. Um, and I'll probably and when it comes to like the miscellaneous stuff, whether it's like a random story or something I know, or of the team or the stadium or whatever, the college, I try to write that down, but at the moment I didn't write it down. I didn't put any notes. I'm thinking, was there anything else I wanted to mention when it came to Louisville? At the moment, I guess not. It might come to me after I'm done recording. That happens too. I'll get done recording a podcast, and next thing you know, I was like, oh, I forgot to mention this, and maybe I did write it down. I just failed to see it because it's all a bunch of just jumbled notes. Yeah, but fun time. I enjoyed it, and maybe you would too. If this is something maybe you'd like to go see yourself, let me know. Again, if you'd like to go on vacation, specifically a cruise, that has nothing to do with going to see the Louisville Cardinals. Either one, a game or a cruise or vacation, let me know. You can reach out to me through social media. Jay's Paradise Travels. That's my Instagram and Facebook handle. There's no apostrophe in it. Make it easy for you. Jay's Jays Paradise Travels. Feel free to send me a message, and I'll be happy to connect with you. Or if it's easier for you, you can send me an email. Uh, my email address is j.paradise.travels@gmail.com. jay.paradise.travels@gmail.com. You can send me an email too. Social media wise, there are some pictures up there of the game. Feel free to check them out. I'd be happy to help you with that or any other vacation that you may need. I appreciate you tuning in today. If you do like this video, feel free to like the video itself. Leave a comment, drop a comment, tell me about any thoughts you have on the Louisville Cardinals, um, good or bad. If you had a good experience with them, if you had a bad experience with them, maybe they broke your heart one time because they beat your team or they are your team and they lost a big game. I don't know. Feel free to tell me whatever you like about them. Just keep it clean if you're a rival fan. This is a travel podcast, not a sports podcast, so I just ask that you keep it clean. So feel free to drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, share it with others. Um, Love to be able to be your travel agent and your family's travel agent, friends' travel agent. Try to make this world a happier place, one vacation at a time. So feel free to please share it. Hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something from it, took something away from it. And I look forward to talking with you guys again soon. Take care. Bye bye.